If love is supposed to be simple, then why the hell did mine start with a lie? And why does it hurt so much when the person I swore to push away is the only one who makes me feel alive? It was the summer heat in New York that should have killed me first, not the silence inside my chest. The doctors had called it temporary monitoring. Nothing serious, just a precaution. And yet, they assigned him Ethan Miller, the young doctor with the kind of smile that could fix bones before his hands even touched you. Ethan wasn't supposed to be here. He wasn't supposed to be in my apartment, checking my pulse, asking if I'd eaten, looking at me as if every answer carried a piece of his heart. I hated it, or at least I told myself I did. Because the truth was, the longer he stayed, the harder it became to breathe, and not because of the illness that chained me, but because of the way his presence cracked something open inside me. He was too careful, too gentle, and sometimes late at night, when his hand brushed mine by accident while handing me a glass of water, I wondered if he was careful because he knew I was fragile or because he was afraid of how much he wanted me. I should have laughed in his face that first day, told him I didn't need a babysitter, told him I didn't need anyone. But instead, I watched him settle into the corner of my living room, pulling out his notes with that quiet focus, the kind of focus that could dismantle a man without a single touch. "You're stuck with me," he said casually, without looking up. I wanted to say, "God help me, I wish I wasn't." But the silence between us grew roots, and those roots tangled themselves into something I couldn't escape. Ethan Miller wasn't just a doctor. He was young, brilliant, and annoyingly stubborn, the kind of man who carried both sunshine and storms in the same breath. At first, I thought he pitted meth guy with a body that sometimes betrayed him, the guy who hid behind sarcasm and whiskey just to keep from falling apart. But pity doesn't explain the way he looked at me one night when the city lights spilled across my floor, when the noise of traffic below faded into nothing, and it was just us. He asked if I was tired. I said, "No, but I'm tired of being alive." I expected him to flinch, to walk out. Instead, his eyes darkened, and for the first time, he looked at me not like a patient, not like an obligation, but like someone he wanted to save, even if it destroyed him. That look terrified me, because I had seen it once before in the mirror years ago, when I was foolish enough to believe in love. And love had almost killed me then. He wasn't supposed to touch me. Boundaries, professionalism, a wall taller than the Empire State itself. But boundaries mean nothing when your heart starts knocking them down, brick by brick. The first time it cracked was small. His hand hovered at my wrist, checking my pulse, and lingered too long. My breath caught. I pretended not to notice. He pretended he didn't feel my pulse racing for reasons that had nothing to do with medicine. The second time, it broke. A storm hit the city, rain slamming against the windows, thunder shaking the ground beneath us. I hated storms. They reminded me of the night everything went wrong years ago. Ethan found me sitting on the floor, shaking harder than the thunder itself. He didn't ask questions. He didn't say anything. He just sat down beside me, close enough that our shoulders touched, his warmth steadying me when the world wasn't. That night, I realized something I didn't want to admit. Ethan wasn't here because of the hospital's orders. He was here because he wanted to be, and that was the most dangerous thing of all. I told myself this story could only end in pain. I told myself the walls I had built were stronger than whatever Ethan thought he felt for me. But each day, those walls cracked a little more. Each night, his presence became the thread holding me together. And sometimes, when his eyes lingered too long, when his voice softened in ways that weren't professional, when the air between us grew heavy with something unsaid, I wondered maybe for the first time in years if falling apart in his arms would hurt less than holding myself together alone. But hope is a cruel thing. And the more Ethan looked at me like I was his whole world, the more terrified I became that I wasn't enough to be his. That was the beginning. The beginning of a story I never asked for but couldn't walk away from. Because when the person who is supposed to save your body starts reaching for your heart, there's no cure for that. You ever try to run from something you already want? It's like sprinting through quicksand. The harder you fight, the deeper you sink. That was me with Ethan. The night I finally broke, the air smelled of antiseptic and rain. I'd pushed him away all day, Cruel on purpose, sarcastic enough to wound. He was supposed to give up, supposed to slam the door and leave me in the quiet hell I'd built for myself. Instead, he came back with takeout and that infuriating patience of his. "Why do you keep doing this?" I snapped. "You're not my friend. You're not," he cut me off, voice low but sharp. "Not what? Not someone who cares? Not someone who sees you? Jesus, do you think this is just about your health?" My mouth went dry. His eyes burned into me like fire and mercy tangled together. And in that split second, I knew he wasn't asking permission to care. He already did. It should have ended there. I should have confessed, should have let myself fall into the gravity pulling us together. But fear makes cowards of us all. So I pushed again. "You don't know what you're doing," I muttered. "You'll regret this." He stepped closer, and suddenly the space between us felt like glass, fragile, seconds from shattering. "The only thing I regret," he whispered, "is not telling you sooner." And then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle, not at first. It was raw, desperate, the kind of kiss that ripped truth from places we'd buried it. His hand found the back of my neck, steadying me as though he feared I'd vanish if he let go. I should have pulled away. Instead, I kissed him back with years of silence breaking open inside me. When we finally tore apart, both gasping, the storm outside had gone quiet as if the world had paused to let us breathe. But love, even when it's real, isn't clean. It doesn't unfold without shadows. The hospital found out. Not because Ethan told them, but because nothing stays hidden forever. Whispers in the hallway, a supervisor's sharp tone. Words like unethical and unprofessional thrown around like knives. They threatened suspension. They told him to step away. And for a moment I thought he would, because why wouldn't he? His whole career dangled by a thread, and I wasn't worth that kind of ruin. But Ethan surprised me again. He walked into my apartment that night, still in his white coat, eyes blazing with a decision already made. "They told me I can't see you anymore," he said. "So I quit." My chest tightened. "You what?" "I quit," he repeated. "I'll find another hospital, another city if I have to, but I'm not letting someone else decide who I'm allowed to love." Love. He said it like it was fact, not a risk. My knees almost gave out. The weeks that followed weren't easy. He took a job upstate, long drives back and forth, hours stolen between shifts. We argued, sometimes bitterly, about what the future looked like, about my fear of being left, his stubborn faith that he wouldn't go anywhere. But even in the worst moments, when words cut deeper than silence, we never stopped reaching back for each other. And slowly, the weight I'd carried for years began to lift. Not all at once, not magically. Healing isn't a straight line, it's messy, uneven, sometimes ugly. But Ethan never flinched. He held the broken pieces of me like they were worth something, and for the first time I started to believe maybe they were. The night everything shifted came in autumn, leaves painting the streets gold and red. We were walking through Central Park, quiet between us, the kind of quiet that feels full instead of empty. He stopped suddenly, turning to face me with that look, the one that always undid me, the one that said I was more than my scars, more than my past. "I know you're scared," he said softly. "I know you think this ends the way everything else has. But I need you to hear me. I'm not leaving. Not tomorrow. Not next year. Not ever." I swallowed hard. My throat ached with all the things I wanted to say, but fear and hope wrestled inside me until finally, hope won by a sliver. So I told him the truth. "You scare the hell out of me, because you make me want things I promised myself I'd never want again." He smiled, small and devastating. "Good. Then maybe we're both scared. But we're scared together." And in that moment, beneath a sky burning with sunset, I realized it didn't matter how the world saw us. What mattered was the way he saw me, like I was his whole damn world. Months passed. Seasons shifted. The city kept spinning with its chaos and noise, but somewhere inside it, Ethan and I carved out a corner of peace. There were still hard days, nights when my body failed me, mornings when his shifts stretched too long, but we learned to anchor ourselves in the simple things. Coffee at sunrise, shared silence after midnight, His laugh against my ear when I finally said something that wasn't laced in cynicism. And maybe that's what love really isn't it, the grand gestures. Not the dramatic confessions, but the quiet decision, every single day, to stay. Looking back, I almost laugh at the irony. A young doctor was assigned to monitor my health, but somewhere along the way, he became the cure I didn't know I needed. He didn't just keep my heart beating, gave it a reason to. And as I sit here tonight, his hand tangled with mine, his head resting against my shoulder, I understand something I never thought I would. The world doesn't give us guarantees. But sometimes, if you're lucky, it gives you a person who looks at you like you're their whole world. And when it does, you hold on. Because that's not a diagnosis. That's a miracle. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with the latest videos.